Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what I've been doing lately. So I got fiber up recently, so I have 40/40. I get provided 40/40, I only get 30/30 because I'm on wireless, but it's still sufficient. My torrents aren't throttled. I can download torrents like 3 times faster than before. So I get about 3 megabit, well, it's not like super fast, but I get 3.2 megabytes or megabits per second with torrent downloads now, which is pretty cool. Eastlink, they throttled my torrents, and that means that they limit my download speeds, so I can never get anything over 1.5. Anyways, this is the rich edit control that I've been working on in the extended rich edit class lib, which is CLS compliant. And basically this is an extension to the rich text box, just adding functionality in there. I decided to abstract the rich edit functionality from Notepad Enhanced by putting in this lib. I feel that this lib would be useful to some people when I release it, separate from Notepad Enhanced. So we have a pretty intuitive redo-undo manager and managed key bindings instead of having that stuff internal, so you can adjust it, which is this stuff here. I fixed auto word selection so it responds properly. There is file name and save file name, which is set when you use load file and save file. So I had to hide a lot of methods and stuff, even properties, so that it behaves correctly. Often for the line number strip has to work well with this, because that's the main, well, it's one of the main controls with the rich edit class lib here is the line number strip. I decided to change it so that it doesn't auto size, because when you're adjusting the typing margin, the left or right margin according to whether RTL is set, and it's resizing that margin or moving it around, it's very distracting. You don't want to resize where the user types. So this is non-auto sizing, and because of that, I can actually put a good like 55,000 lines or 55,000 line text file in here without the line number strip lagging or anything like that. At the moment, I'm working on printing logic, which is unusually complicated because you have to break down the complicated part is breaking down the words in a way that they fit within the printing margin, and in a way that it's elegant and it doesn't mess up the readability of text. I took a look at at a popular printing C# class, and it just used it printed out the string using measure string in a provided rectangle and something like that, and it would break entire words up, like just cut words off at the end of the page, and I didn't like that. And I wanted more control over what was going on with the word thing. So I'm designing a class at the moment, which is really frustrating. I've had so much trouble with this. At the moment, we have this word wrapper class that accepts a maximum line width, which is what's within the margins, the font, and then you have a single method here, the wrap method. In the wrap method, you pass in a string, a normal string of text, and a graphics object. And I'm just getting rid of the return carriages because those are problematic, and I'm processing the content so that it fits within the provided max line width. And all is well. So you can see that this is a translation of Lorem Ipsum, or whatever story that is. I don't even know if it's a story, but that French stuff. And it's resizing very closely to how the rich text box resizes with word wrap. So I'm doing something right. But the problem is that when I type in something like long lines that can't be broken down with spaces or dashes or anything, it just freezes. I've had this working before, but with the way I've done it now, it's just like it's not working at all. And when I have no spaces to break down, it's like it works fine. And you can see that one character is hidden here. You can see the F character is hidden. It's so frustrating working with these lines that have to be broken down in this manner, as well trying to break it down properly with the these space characters and the dashes and stuff. It's more complicated than well, it's not complicated, it's just hard to get to work perfectly. I just have to do those long lines properly. It's very unlikely that the user is going to have very long lines panning across the entire page like that, but if they were to do that, then the program would eat up their resources with the way it's working now, and I don't want that. Last time I was debugging this word wrapper class, I did that thing where I put all those characters in there and it bugged out, except this time I was raising events to provide feedback to the main form, just like printing things out, stuff like that, and I completely froze my computer. Like, it wouldn't even respond when I turned off the computer. Well, I tried to turn off the computer with the power button, and I couldn't really do anything. I had to reset it with the reset button. I don't know if you have the reset button on your system, on your tower, but it comes in handy every once in a while. So that's the word wrapper thing. It's for printing. The way I'm going to do printing is that I'm going to have a base printing class, like something like this, and it will be abstract, and you would derive from it and implement all of the data and appearance associated with printing. So you'd implement what text is selected, what text is used for printing, and the font and the font color and stuff like that. I've already done this. I accidentally deleted the CS file, so I'm going to do it again, and it's pretty effective. It's a decent level of decoupling without making things too complicated. I've only recently started getting into providing data binding like mechanisms or source classes, like source abstract classes that you would use to keep things decoupled. I think that the richer text box in this class library will eventually be MVP compliant or MVC compliant of some sort, probably MVP. They'll basically provide a data binding mechanism so that you can bind a model to this easily. And I would probably do that by deprecating all of the most of the data-driven methods like load file, save file, the text property, so that you can't access them directly, and I'll just create some sort of MVP system with this so you can use it with more complex projects, because that's basically what this richer text box is for. It's for larger projects. The only reason I'm working on this WinForms project is because I'm fixing Notepad Enhanced, and Notepad Enhanced is WinForms, and it's huge, and it's too coupled to make it WPF. I'm still in the process of decoupling views from views from other views typically, but sometimes views from code backing. You need to decouple views from other views and like random things at a very fundamental level before you try to implement something like MVP. Otherwise, you'll just make a mess of your program. Okay, so there's an empty document class. I can get rid of this. Oh yeah, and I've provided some extension methods for the string builder, because the string builder, it's pretty cool. Like, you can work on it directly and efficiently, but it's lacking some some methods. This particular one, you wouldn't really use this often. These are specific to my project, but trim end comes in handy. Trim start and trim. They're pretty useful. So let's take a look at the views here. I don't think there's much else. So the way it works is that I have a text edit tab control, which has some helpers. That's the master control. You would typically use this with the other controls. And it exposes the default line number strip, which I am cloning from. You can adjust this to adjust the appearance of the line number strips that are used with added tabs. The same goes for the default rich text box, and just this master property here to adjust the word wrap collectively of the loaded rich text boxes, and the text editor. That is a parent control that allows you to easily add both the line number strip and the rich text box together, as well as pad the rich text box and stuff like that. And then we have the selected stuff. This is just an array of richer text boxes, so you can easily iterate through them if you have to. Same goes for the line number strip, except for this is a collection for some reason. Should probably make them the same type of IEnumerable. Of course, you have to have a selected text box property. I'm going to change this to richer text box. And I implemented key navigation, so if you press Control 1 to 0 or 0 to 9, or however your keyboard is laid out, it will, actually it's just 1 to 9, but it will navigate through the tabs. I can't really build this at the moment because I'm working on the printer logic, but that's what allow key navigation is. That should probably have some attributes that is that'll show up in the designer view. Alright, that's pretty much it for this thing. So we have the tab control. Within the tab control, when you add a tab page, it adds a text editor and full docks it. The text editor contains both the richer text box and the line number strip, and that's basically how it works. I also have to implement RTL, so when RTL is set on the parent control of the text editor or the text editor itself, it'll change the dock position of the line number strip. I think it's pretty important to support all of these things. I think Notepad Enhanced supports RTL. I'm not so sure. You can see that I've changed the settings window so it's a bit more workable. For some reason there's a caret as the main cursor. Interesting how I do not have an RTL option for the text area. Oh, it's probably because I don't support any RTL languages. Well, I guess it's still desirable because a lot of people know, English a bit, and they'll use the program in English but want to type out something in their language, considering they're probably doing it for school or something where they're still using their primary language, which might be RTL. So I'll put RTL back in there someday. I don't think this is needed because there is a method. It's like what is it, title info or text info? You can use text info to capitalize letters in a culture friendly way. So You just create an instance of this. However you would do that, and there's a method in there for you to use to capitalize the first letter of a word. It's called toTitleCase or something like that. Alright, and there's a project that I did recently. It's a text measuring test, and this is a project that I created to see how accurate measuring is, because it was having difficulties measuring Microsoft Sans Serif with GDI+. So we have GDI, which is text renderer stuff, and GDI+, which is graphics stuff. And this is the graphics path. So there's about 460 points with this specific text, and when you get the bounding box, when you measure this with get bounds, the bounding box is like snug up against the text. It's a completely different way of drawing the text and measuring it. And I just found out that you can draw outline text with the graphics path. So it's pretty cool. Like GDI Plus does not measure trailing white space, whereas GDI does. Nor does GP, so it's pretty interesting. And I can iterate the fonts here. I was having problems with Microsoft Sans Serif. It was not measuring like I wanted to with text renderer and graphics, GDI stuff. So let's go find Sans Serif and see what's going on with all that jazz. Okay, I gotta make these controls a bit bigger. Oops. Oh, that is so weird. See how with GDI Plus it creates this larger space after the text if it's longer, and when it's shorter, the space after the text is smaller. And this actually gets to be very big with Microsoft Sans Serif with larger lines of text. And with my word wrapper logic, I spent a long time trying to figure out why my logic was doing this, what was causing this accumulation of space. And I couldn't figure out, and I just realized that it's GDI, well, it's both of these methods of measuring text and their inability to properly measure the width of Microsoft Sans Serif. Because that space, it gets pretty big. So I spent about 5 hours before I figured that out. I've just got to figure out what this is here. Oh, this thing. I was going to use this for some sort of screencasting. This is fairly interesting. I'm going to run this. And we can pick from some audio sources. And when I speak, it's just going to do that an audio thing that I've shown you in another video, but this is a bit more flexible, well, a bit more friendly, and you just swap out the images to change up the effect. So I just have 2 images here. It's it's like a resource hog, but it's still fun. It's called Screen Peeker, and I've created a simple snapshot extensibility project. So this is what this does here. You go to Tools, and you hit create simple snapshot, and it will tell you down on the bottom here that snapshot has been created. And we just got to go to where the solution folder is. So there's the snapshot there. So we're going to do that again. And there is another snapshot. So it's just for creating simple snapshots, and the project itself is very simple. It's easy to get into, creating plugins or add-ins or whatever they're called, extensions, I don't know, for Visual Studio. It's just the code is not, it's not going to look like WinForms code, that's for sure. The public API for Visual Studios is a bit different. So I'm going to go into the source here. I'll show you all the code that I wrote for this. So this stuff up here is auto-generated. I wrote a pen number and get next name for my To Enhance program, my sticky notes app, and then I just had to make use of it here. That's all. And this just checks to see if there's a solution open. If there isn't, then it'll display an error dialog. I don't really know how to disable and enable these items just yet, according to the state of Visual Studio. But this is all the code I wrote for it. It's very simple. You can see that it's quite a bit less readable than typical code or typical interaction with an API. It's just the way it is. By far the most inelegant project, the most crudely written project, is AbleOpus Elements, and I've been doing work on that lately because I am in the process of refactoring things. I'm just looking for something new that I've done. Example editor. I gotta see what this is. Oh, that is for editing regex examples. I decided to store samples or examples for my regex tester in XML, and I guess I was creating an editor for it. I have the framework, the .NET framework, under inactive here, just so I can look at C# code. About 99.5% of it is written in C#, so there's lots of sample code to look at in there. There's the syntax highlighting version of my rich text box stuff. I'll re-implement that when I am able to refine it, able to figure out how to make it perfect. There was problems I was having when cutting and pasting code and stuff like that. It was updating very oddly. That's it for my projects. And I might as well take a look at Speed Reader Enhanced. I always just take a look at this the download count of Speed Reader Enhanced just to make myself happier. It's got a 5 out of 5 rating. I did not expect that. It's only got 3 ratings though. So I'm just going into the downloads. we're gonna check from 2009. It's roughly where it started tracking to 2014. 63,000 downloads. I expected it to be a bit more. So apparently it started at 2010-06. And it's just because I only have version 4 and up in there. something along those lines. Yeah, always expose the setup or the executable on SourceForge, because the users are less likely to find what they want than developers looking for source code if you do it any other way. So when it comes to practices, I'm going to open up Extended Rich Edit. I have my properties at the top of the class, just below the global fields, or global variables that don't have a matching property, and that just makes the class more expressive. The properties express what the class is all about, what it represents, so I decided to put them up there as well. Automatically generated code typically goes at the bottom and is usually not a property, so it's good to have them at the top. I started not using the this qualifier. I used to do this as a practice to denote whether or not the member is within the current class or it is somewhere in a derived, somewhere in the base classes. And I no longer do this because it makes the code less readable. It's not expressive, and well, I personally believe that it's not expressive, and it just unnecessary stuff to read. That's what I've done for practices. And I started putting periods at the end of my summaries. I don't do that with the params though, because I've been looking at Microsoft code, Microsoft C# code, and how they do it. It's all over the place, but you'll never come across, well, you'll rarely come across a summary where there's no period. We can actually take a look at some of the .NET Framework code, and you'll see just how it is. Started commenting constructors now, and using the cref thing. What is it called? cref? When you're referring to types that can be linked to in your summaries. ReSharper goes off on this project, like it just eats up all of my resources. I can't really disable it. I guess I can. I can pause analysis, but it's still revving up my computer. My poor computer. So yeah, I don't want to rip on like .NET Framework code or anything, but like it's all over the place. Like there's no, when it comes to the unpublic API, it's just like everywhere. You have using directives either inside the namespace or outside it. Sometimes the brackets are like this, sometimes they aren't, with this formatting. Sometimes you have like huge comments like this for something simple, and there's no consistency at all beyond the public API. You actually find like quite ridiculous things here, like I'm not even gonna lie. If you look through the framework, you'll find things under classes that you or types you would typically use that don't make any sense, like the way they're written, the way they're organized. There's a lot of stuff to look at. I actually go through the code every once in a while, like I look at .NET Framework code every couple days or so, just going in here, looking through the entire solution for something. You can probably use a regex pattern to find something, and you'll see how it's written, what it's all about. Every once in a while you'll find like an Easter egg, something that'll just make you laugh because there's so much to look at. We can go into the web thing here. They you can see that they put folders that don't correspond to the namespace, and these folders typically don't have a capital letter. So I started doing this when you want to organize things further in the Solution Explorer but don't want to put files under a namespace. You should keep that folder name lowercase to indicate that it doesn't correspond to a namespace. And they don't do this consistently, but it's a common practice that I've seen around. or something that I've observed. Let's go find something public to look at. Somewhere around here. We'll just search for something. Actually, we can probably find something to look into. Let's go to argument exception. You probably used that. There's nothing really interesting in here. I don't quite understand this. It's pretty obvious that this class is called argument exception. If somebody knows why this specific line is here, like what the protocols are for this to be here, let me know. But you'll find a lot of things like that just you don't really quite understand, but there could possibly be a purpose for it. Anyways, that's it. See you later.